Hi, I'm Benaifer and I live in Hemel Hempstead. I'm a Zoroastrian and I'm an out and proud parent of my son Vay, who is queer gay. I was raised in a very traditional Parsi family. Um, there was an element of religion, but it was mainly culture that was quite imposing at that time. Vay is my fabulous child. He has a rare gift set of being a peacemaker, and yet in that process, he's always been able to stand in his truth. And I can see that growing day by day. He's 21, and there's so much confidence around that. And I feel that's what the world needs right now. His creativity's come out in lots of different ways from when he was little. He's an inventor, and he's at university in Newcastle at the moment, where he's stepping into the drag scene there. His drag persona is Treacle Macabre, and I think she's amazing. So people often talk about the age at which they realize that their child was different or gay, but it was a little bit different for me because from when they were little, I didn't place too much emphasis on gender. So for example, if I spoke in Gujarati, which is our adoptive language, I would interchange the male and female pronouns. And we were talking about this the other day, and he said, I thought you were just being cute. And I said, well, yeah, I guess I was a bit, but it was just keeping that fluidity there. And similarly, when other people would say, oh, have you got a girlfriend? I'd say, or boyfriend. And so having done that all the years that he's lived, there wasn't a defining moment when he appeared to be different, because he's just not different, he's just himself. They chose to come out to me. I think he knew he didn't need to. I certainly knew he didn't need to. But he decided one day when I picked him up from some sporting thing that he was doing, and he asked us to go and sit in the car somewhere because he had something to tell me. Honestly, I didn't know. I didn't know what it was. And when he told me, I was so proud of how brave he was to do something that he didn't need to do because he felt it was the right thing to do. And we talked lots. We talked mostly about the impact on those around us, and how we would handle that. I'm also aware that my fear is very much a projection. I mean, no, it's real, but it's projected because I faced racism growing up, active racism in the 70s. It was deeply unpleasant. So I know what that feels like. And the thought of my kid having something like that thrown at them, something that they couldn't change. You can't change your skin color. You can't change who you are or your sexuality. That was just heartbreaking. I think his confidence comes from both of us, and both of his parents and our families. He's got incredibly sassy aunts, an incredibly worldly and gobby uncle. He's inherited all the best traits from all of them, and the grandmother that he was closest to was, my mother, exceptionally forward-thinking, liberal, and I'd like to think that she went some way into inspiring him to be the person he is. When he came out to me, I didn't feel it was my role to tell anyone, because I just kept thinking, well, if he was straight, I wouldn't go around telling people I've got a straight son. So it didn't make any sense to me to say it. I remember saying it when I was talking to other gay people, and to a really close friend who always thought that they should be with her daughter. So I think that's probably the only time, we were in the supermarket and I said, he is gay. And she said, no. No. And I said, that he is. And actually, she had a huge reaction. She had a much bigger reaction than I did. And it took her some time to come to terms with it. So it's been a non-issue. The rest, honestly, Vay has handled in his own way, that it's been a non-issue. I would just like to add that I think we are very privileged to have had that, though. Very privileged. But also people know that if they came up against that, they'd be coming up against a mother and father who would do anything to protect their kids. I do mention that I have a gay son if it's appropriate, because you never know the impact you have on somebody. They may not show it on their face. They may even have, a shocked face. It doesn't matter. It's in there. And over days, weeks, months, years, you don't know, when that might pop back into the front of their mind, and they may think, well, actually, there's a happy parent with a gay kid, so it is possible. I think if you are lucky enough to be a parent of an LGBT child and you have the confidence, it's really important that you do speak about it. You mention your child, you give them visibility, you talk about your family in a positive way, because there are so many families where the children are desperate for that and they can't have it, or the parents want to, but they don't have the language or the confidence. So if you have those two things of language and confidence, use it appropriately as much as you can, because you never know the impact your words might have on somebody. Maybe not today, maybe further down the line, they'll remember, oh, I remember Benaifer said, and you know what? That family with that LGBT kid, they seem fine. It's normalizing it, isn't it? What makes me proud about Vay is that I've told him and his brother that my only expectation of them as they were growing up was to stand up on behalf of people who are on their knees, to speak their truth, and to do everything possible to protect the planet. I think that's about it. That's all I've ever asked of them. And that Vay is able to do that on a daily basis, wherever he is, whoever he's before. I don't know that he even knows the impact that he has. That's the thing that makes me most proud. He's a solid human being. That's what makes me really proud. These values are incredibly important to me because they come from my religion. Zoroastrianism is about using the mind that we have as human beings, the choices we have, and the free will to make those choices as human beings. And that's pretty much all there is to it. If you take all the different elements and that we're guardians of those elements, Zoroastrianism is, what are you going to do about that? And so when I had kids, that it became really important that from the beginning they understood that they did have a job to do. And unlike in many communities, whatever, being a doctor or an engineer is the job you have to do. For me, I really genuinely don't care about that stuff. I left school with no qualifications and I've done all right. There's a much bigger job to do. And the fact that this kid can do that, as he's showing those signs of being very strong with his values, very unbending with his values, when he must be facing loads of nonsense, just for being brown and gay. I don't think that any of the barriers are influenced by any religion. I think that they are all influenced by culture, but more than that, the human beings that are surrounding that family at that time. And those human beings can make or break that situation. And unfortunately, I think people take pleasure in seeing other people suffer. That's what I think. It's what other people who are living now do, instead of holding that family tight when they are going through something and holding them accountable to doing better than was expected. People input in a negative way to see them fail. And when you're from a minoritized community, those around you are your safety net. You rely on them, and you can start thinking, well, this son or daughter is going to go anyway. I'm going to be left with these people, so I should listen to them. So when you give your power away like that, it's a very dangerous game. I have one piece of advice, and it comes from a place of love. If you are struggling to accept your child, then stop and go back to your faith or religion. What does your faith or religion preach? Not what the people around you are saying, but what's the basics of your religion? Is it to do good? Then do good. Because if you can't do good by your own flesh and blood, your child that has your blood running through their veins, if you can't do good by then what does your religion mean to you? How can you profess to be of that religion? And if you've got any questions to help you understand all of that, talk to your child, because they'll have all the answers. They are living in that moment. My message to you, Vay, is that you are so deeply loved, and that love is just always surrounding you and always will surround you. So within that, live your best life, because you're very protected by that love.